Alright guys, welcome back to Rampant Lion Reviews once again, and we're going to do another beer review today. You might notice we have a special guest who has appeared on the channel before. So this is my very good friend Daniel. This whole beer tube channel thing is kind of his fault because he introduced me to Schlenkerla. But yeah, thank you for joining for this one.
Hey guys, it's great to be with you.
Yeah, and so for this review, we are going to have a look at one of Daniel's favourite breweries here in Bamberg in Franconia in the northern part of Bavaria in Germany. So do you want to introduce the beer?
Yeah, sure. It's called Pax Bräu. It's a brewery which is quite small in the northern part of Bavaria in the Rhön area. And yeah, it's a pretty cool beer. They have all kinds of beers. They try to make different beers all over the year. And this is a special one. It's called, I have to look it up actually, it's called Fasenöchtor. And I think it's derived from Terminator, so it's a big one. It's a heavy one with a lot of power in it, and it's a Doppelbock. Usually Doppelbock is more a dark one, but they try to make it a light one. And I'm really looking forward to this one. So, and James, you got something for us.
Yes. So yeah, and did you not say this was something to do with Carnival earlier as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Fasenacht or Fasching in Bavaria, or it's called Carnival, and in Germany you call it you have the 4 seasons, and this is the 5th season. So, and I think he's trying to make a beer that goes just into this area, and so they always have some very nice artworks on there, and I think this is supposed to be some carnival dude or like a joker or a clown, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah. So I bought this beer at Die Bierkothek in Bamberg, and I'd been filming at Festla and Spezial, so I was in quite a happy mood, and I just saw. I was just going to go in and have a little look at the shop and not buy anything. Then I saw Pax Bräu Doppelbock. You guys know I love Doppelbocks. It's Daniel's favourite brewery. It was one of these kind of, bugger it, why not moments. But yeah, I paid about, I think it was like €10, €11 for this beer. So for a litre of very nicely brewed Doppelbock, or Doppelbock Hell, as this one is in this case, I think that's pretty good value. But yeah, before we taste it, I'll just take you through a little bit of a detailed history on this one. And so yeah, Daniel can correct me on my German pronunciation. I've been practicing with these little daughter actually. I was reading these little daughter storybooks in Germany earlier, and it seems to be not bad. It's not bad. So the official name of this brewery is Pax Bräu Oberelsbach. So Pax Bräu is based in this area that Daniel was talking about, the Rhön area, which is in the very northern part of Bavaria. It's a small town of only 3,000 people, and this brewery is run by Andreas Seufert, and it was officially founded back in 2007. So that means they're going to celebrate 15 years this year, to think of it. So that's kind of cool. You might get a really special beer for that. But yeah, apparently Andreas's first day in brewing school was September the 11th, 2001, and one of his friends said in the pub that night that they should forge swords into taps, and he says that this has just kind of stuck with him ever since. And so this has become Pax Bräu's motto actually. So after completing his brewing training, he worked in Vietnam, Russia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, and finally in China before he decided that he was going to brew his own beer. He completed his brew training in 2009, and this was the point where he decided that he wanted to be self-employed. So he started brewing for himself in 2002, and then in 2004 he started selling a bit of his beer, and his father and uncle help him out at the brewery today. So one of the really cool points, and Daniel's told me about this before, is that they have a calendar of beer each year, and so he brews a special beer for every month, which has a specially designed label and a special name. And you were saying as well that they have some of the really famous ones they've been brewing again. Actually.
Yeah, I think some of the beers that are really well received in the audience, they actually redo them, and I don't know how many beers they have in their standard thing. It's just the full beer, I think. But some of the beers you can get every year. So there are some really nice ones that were well received and people wanted to drink them again.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool because this is one of the annoying things when you review craft beer, you find something that's really good but it's a one-off brew. So I think it's always nice when they redo these things as well. So yeah. Last few details about the brewery then is that they started selling their beers more widely in 2007. They brew the beers in 1,000 litre batches, and the name of the brewery, Pax Bräu, is derived from Pax, which is the Roman word for peace. So apparently Andreas's girlfriend thought of this name when they were sat at a bus stop backpacking somewhere in Southeast Asia. So yeah, that is all the historical detail I guess you need on Pax Bräu. Do you want to talk about your favourite beer that you ever had from these guys?
If I remember correctly, it is called the Basaltbock, which is quite a special beer. There's a video on YouTube also where they actually make it. Basalt is a stone from the region of Rhön. It has this six cornered shaped thing.
Hexagonal crystal.
Yeah, so they have a bunch of basalt stones which they heat up really hot, and then they, I think they have a truck or something, or a crane where they drop the basalt stones, the hot ones, into a big tank of beer, and it just goes boom, and in that reaction with the hot stones, there's a lot of caramelizes, and so the beer is awesome, and we really loved it. It's hard to get, but sometimes over the last years, some places in Bamberg have it actually, and you can get it in the brewery. So that's actually my favorite beer, and I love it since I know it.
Yeah, I think we did we not review together last time we had the Whiskey Rauch beer? That was the other one that I had from these guys. That was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically this is a very experimental brewery. It's one of Daniel's favourite ones, so cool to be able to do a sit-down review with you of this one. All right. Yeah, cool. So yeah, as we say, that's everything you need to know history-wise about the brewery. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery website in the video description below. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And of course, you can check out Rate Beer, Untappd, Beer Advocate, all of these kind of things to learn more about the different beers. So let's get started on this one then. So Daniel explained the name of this earlier on. This one, as we've said, I think, where was the alcohol? 9.2% ABV. It's a Doppelbock Hell, so yeah, I like coloured Doppelbock. Doppelbock's one of my favourite styles of German beer. Absolutely love them. So this one actually interesting. I've just noticed that this contains wheat. So that's a little bit unusual for a Doppelbock, actually, isn't it? Yeah. Usually, I think they're just Gersten malts, like barley malt. So this is cool. But this one was released. It looks like it's best. Is this best before?
Yeah.
So it's best before August 2022. It doesn't say when it was released though. Actually,
it should be in February, I guess.
February or March, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's crack this guy open and we'll get him tasting. Do you want to do the honours?
All right.
Go.
I will.
The pop top. There you go. All right. So, thank you. So yeah, we're using wine glasses for this one. So sometimes when I do German videos, the viewers can get a little bit sensitive about the glassware, but these were the two identical glasses that Daniel had.
The only two identical ones.
So we were going with these. But yeah, it's all good. There we are. So, right, let's get started with this then. Oh, Johanna's here. Hello, Johanna. Do you want to wave hello?
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. So, this one, as we can see, like we said, it's a Doppelbock. It's 9.2% ABV. When it's poured with, I'd say, about a half finger, frothy, I would say that's a kind of creamy coloured head. It's not perfect white. It's not a perfect white head, but you can see that there. So yeah, perfect kind of creamy coloured head there. Few big bubbles sticking to the side of the glass. Not too much carbonation. How would you describe the colour of this one?
I don't know. Light orange, maybe.
Yeah, it's got a nice little bit of amber to it, doesn't it? So, yeah, I think this one is actually kind of similar to like an IPA or a Märzen, maybe a very light Märzen, come to think of it. So yeah, remember, colour of your beer depends on 1, type of malts that you use, 2, length of your wort boil, any adjuncts or barrel aging that you do. But yeah, for a Doppelbock, this is very light, and that's hence why they've called it Doppelbock Hell. So yeah, aroma time.
Alright.
Yeah, look at it.
Ooh, a lot of fruit, I think.
See, I actually get a little bit of rauchy character out of it as well.
Me too.
But the fruit comes. Yeah, I see what you mean. The fruit comes out a wee bit later on.
Has a deepness, I don't know, something from below.
Yeah, this is really interesting. This is, Pax Bräu. After 3,200 reviews, you want something that's going to test your nose actually. So, test your nose, test your palate. This beer's certainly going to do that. I'll say that straight away. So yeah, for me, I think it's got this kind of slightly stony, woody backbone to it. Do you get that?
Yeah. Some herbal scents, I think.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to just say straight away, this isn't like any other Doppelbock I've ever come across. This is pretty unusual. Yeah, so for me, a little bit of this kind of stony kind of thing, which I find very, very weird to say about a beer. I don't think I've ever said that in a review yet, but it does smell a little bit like, has a little bit of this kind of stony note to it for me, a little bit woody. I think, I see what Daniel says about the herbs. I think there's a bit of breadiness to this one, and it's like a herbal bread, I think, a wee bit of bread crust. What do you think on the kind of brown sugary, the sugary side of things, the sweet side of it?
It's very sweet, I think, yeah. Very, malty smell.
Yeah. I think it's more like a kind of biscuity note, I think, rather than like big brown sugars, yeah. The thing we should mention here as well is that there is a style called Maibock, and you also get Hellerbock as well, and these beers can be very, very strong. So I'd be curious to know what the exact technical difference is between a Doppelbock and a Hellerbock and so on. Because you can get very, very strong Heller and Maibocks. But yeah, I think malty side of this one, it's more. It does actually remind me of some of these Maibock and Hellerbock beers I've had before. But the unusual thing, as I say, is that stony, woody thing. For me, a little bit of bread crust, white bread, the herbal kind of character that Daniel's talking about in there as well. And then you've got some kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity note on top. Do you get anything else on the malty side?
I was wondering about the fruit. Would you identify any other fruits?
So fruity side, for me, I think it's got a little bit of a kind of zesty note to it, I think.
Zesty? What's that?
Yeah, like sort of like kind of citrusy, zesty kind of thing.
It's not too much, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a Caribbean fruit, or like very southern fruit.
I mean, it's interesting because it's got a little. It's
like mango, maybe something like that. So
yeah, maybe a little bit of mango. I think a wee bit of like gooseberry. Yeah, there's a wee bit of gooseberry there. I do get a wee bit of a kind of like peary. Like sultana, dried white green grape kind of thing. I definitely get some of that out of it. But yeah, there's a more oily lychee. Do we say lychee? I don't know. There's a lychee gooseberry sort of thing to it. It reminds me of citra hop. It does remind me a little bit of citra hop, which would be really unusual in a Doppelbock. But yeah, I think like sultana, pear, gooseberry, a little bit of lychee.
Lychee, okay.
Yeah. What do you think about the kind of green side of it? The floral, grassy side. How do you rate that?
I don't know. It's not grassy or anything. I wouldn't say that.
See, I get a wee bit of floral character in it. Not so much grassiness, but I do get a bit of floral note out of it. And of course, Doppelbocks are not known for being the most hoppy style beer. But I think you said when you read the little description on the website, this one is supposed to be 35 IBUs, so that's quite big for a Doppelbock, I would say.
You can't really smell it now, but you'll taste it.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So for me, teeny bit of earthiness, bit of bright floral character. Then we've got all those fruits, and I should say the fruits for me are quite oily. I'd say they're quite oily but quite zesty at the same time. So yeah, anything else you want to say about the nose?
I think I'm alright, man.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let's taste it then. So this one is the, how do we say this? Fasenöchtor Doppelbock Hell, 9.2% ABV from Pax Bräu. Slange, skull, cheers.
Slange, skull. Prost.
Prost, there we go.
That's
big
the
beast.
bitterness. It
Yeah.
comes down, yeah.
This beer is a bit of a beast. I'm going to say that. You can taste the booziness in this right away.
Yeah, you can taste it right away. Yeah. Well, it just like draws everything together in the beginning. Yeah.
I see you can get that herbal thing you were talking about in the aroma. I definitely get that in the base of this beer. Don't really know how to compare that.
Yeah, it feels like
to be honest.
Tastes a little bit like sauna.
I like that, yeah. So for me, I always start with the malty side of the beer, so like middle of the palate. So for me, this one, I've got a little bit of it does have this like smooth, almost stony, woody backbone to it, I think. Yeah, I think there's a sort of stony, woody note to this. What else do you get from that?
Yeah, I think the stoniness is a very good description. I can share that. Yeah. It tastes darker than it is.
Oh yeah.
So it's supposed to be a light beer, but it has this typical malty notes that you get in darker beers, which make like you want to drink some water with it. It gives you this feeling, I think, on the tongue. Yeah.
No, I mean, for me, it does. So on top of the kind of stoniness and breadiness that you get out of this one, it does have a wee bit of like you've got this bready character, but I get a bit of smokiness out of it. I definitely do. In Rauch malt, I've seen what Rauch malt looks like in the grain. I think there might be like a teeny little bit of some kind of smoky malt in this, because it just has this tiny little bit of smoky character. So for me, there's like a bready layer, and toward the back third of the palate, you've got this more grainy bread, and I think a bit of smokiness in there. I think that's good. What about the kind of sweeter side? What do you get from
that? Yeah, it's actually quite sweet. You can say that, yeah. I'm trying to think of notes, but I don't really know. Yeah, it's not so fruity anymore, to be honest.
I think it gets a bit fruited into the aftertaste.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. It's quite bitter, so maybe that's washes away the fruitiness. I don't know.
No, I think for me as well, on top of the bready note, I think in the middle of your palate, I think there's a bit of sweetness to this. Like it has this, when it's 9.2%, you are going to get a little bit of a kind of brown, sugary, boozy sort of thing out of the beer. And I think that for me, that's quite. You do get it, so it's got a little bit of like a biscuity, like a McVitie's digestive biscuity base, but then as you move into the centre of the palate, you've got this more like oily, concentrated thing, and that's the booziness. So I always think the booziness of these beers comes out in the dead, like the dead centre of your palate. Okay. So for me, you do get that. I mean, you can't have a 9.2% like Hellerbock, if we can call it this, without the kind of booziness to it, but I think it's just say the malty side of this one is really, really nice. The sort of stony, slightly smoky character this has, and the woodiness too makes it really unique. Yeah, it's a wee while since we've had a sip. Are you getting anything more in like the aftertaste?
I think it's the maltiness in the aftertaste, and the bitterness still keeps being there. It's not too long of an aftertaste, but I think it's hard for me to categorize it. I think it doesn't. You can't really put it into a drawer and say it's a Doppelbock. It has so many interesting elements in it: the smokiness and the bitterness and the fruitiness and the malts and the stony things. I think it's very. It has a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm actually quite jealous that Daniel has this brewery so close, because if you want a brewery that's going to test your palate, just get a beer from these guys every month. You're going to get a really. I find these videos really interesting. That was one of the other things that was going through my slightly drunken head when I bought this beer. But no, it's good. It's good. But yeah, let's look at that hoppy side of the beer then. So like sides of the palate.
Okay.
For me, like in the back corners of the palate, like teeny bit of earthiness, but as you move forward to like the front corners of your tongue, it does actually develop a nice little bit of floral aromaticity.
I think you get more of the citrus note. It's very strong in the back, and I was wondering what kind of hops they were using. I think they didn't say, but it could be anything. So a variety of different hops, I guess. So you don't really can really tell what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think this beer is a bit more, but as we said earlier, this beer is meant to be 35 IBUs. So for me, it does have a good little bit of that bright floral note, and round the front curve of the palate is a bit grassy. And the grassiness, I think, it does have a wee bit of zesty note to it. But like you're saying, with the kind of fruity side of this beer, it's, for me, the fruity side's really oily. But I would suspect with this one, I'm trying to think, because obviously these days you've got quite high alpha acid German hops. You know, you've got Mandarin, Bavaria, Hallertau, Blanc. There's a few other ones that aren't coming to mind just now. I wouldn't be surprised if this has got a New World hop in it, like a New Zealand or an American hop in it as well. Because it is, to be honest, I think this one, the green component, is a bit spicy for a German hop. And German hops, I think, are always very bright and smooth at the same time. Not quite spicy like this. Although you can play with that, you know, you can do early addition hopping, that's going to give you more bitterness and so on. But I just think the fruitiness you get out of this, it's not like, you know, Mandarin and Bavaria would be the obvious candidate for a beer like this. I don't find it overly orangey though. I don't think this beer's that orangey. Because Mandarin and Bavaria, it's named, you know, Mandarins, Mandarina. Makes sense.
Maybe it's not in there, I don't know.
Maybe, no. I would be really curious to know what hop they've used in this one actually. But yeah, where I was going with that, sorry, brains going all over the place. I think it's a New World hop. I think this could be a New Zealand or an American hop that's in here. Maybe on top of German hops, right enough. But yeah, so let's focus on that fruity thing then, the front third of the palate. Yeah, you go first.
What kind of fruits I'm tasting?
Yeah.
Whew, it's not easy. Well, the citrus is very strong. I would still say in the palate. Yeah, I don't know, lychee. I'm still getting lychee and the bitterness of lychee, I think.
Okay. I think, yeah, I can see that on the front half of that front third of your palate. I always find, so you get, for me, when I do these reviews, I always think, yeah, the stronger fruits, you know, passion fruit, grapefruit, they come out further back, and then the more oily, sweeter fruits come out like right on the tip of the tongue. And then sometimes you get like the lime just behind the grassy notes. So for me, I agree with the lychee. I get a wee bit of like gooseberry out of this one as well. So there's a mix of that gooseberry lychee. And I think we said that earlier. That makes me wonder if there's a bit of citra in this, because if you put citra in a more kind of brown sugar orientated malt base, you get these kind of notes. So I'd be curious to know, and that would explain, you were saying a little bit of mango earlier as well.
Yeah, mango.
And mango's a big thing when it comes to citra. So this could be interesting, like a citra hopped Helles Doppelbock. Interesting. Yeah. I get like a wee bit of, you know, I do get a little bit of that sultana oily peary thing as well. So yeah, sultanas, dry white green grapes, oily pear. Absolutely. Then as you come further forward, I think it gets a wee bit more like zesty just as you reach the kind of front edge of the tongue. So I think this, yeah, there's like you were saying, like kind of zesty, citrusy bitterness out of it. Yeah, this is really interesting, this one. Yeah, but big oily fruity notes. Yeah, I would say, yeah, that dry white green grape, the pear, the sort of gooseberry and lychee sort of thing. Not really. Maybe is like a little bit of apricot as well, like a dry apricot.
Yeah.
I think maybe. Yeah, which is interesting. These things are all kind of typical for like a Hellerbock. You can get these sort of dry fruity notes, or a Maibock, I should say. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, but to have a beer that's specifically called a Doppelbock Hell, I think is quite unusual. But yeah, well, we round off with the mouthfeel. And I think you need to take a little bit more, just a little bit more.
I'm finished already.
So yeah, mouthfeel wise for me, I think this is like maybe bottom end of full bodied. It's not the thickest beer you're going to come across, but if we think about it in the German context, you know, you have to remember this is a lager beer, bottom fermentation. It's not an ale. So for a lager beer, I think this is pretty thick.
Yeah, for me, when I just poured it in freshly, I noticed that the foam was really nice,
Mm.
really creamy, and connected really nicely with the beer. So so the mouthfeel is really great, I think.
Yeah.
It's not super thick as you say, but combined with the foam, it's nice.
Yeah. And I think for me, top end of mid bodied, bottom end of full bodied. Quite an oily beer, I think, definitely. Quite oily, a little bit of slickness to it as well. But you always get this with the more brown sugary German beers. Although we're saying brown sugar, we've repeated that a few times. This isn't brown sugary. This is more biscuity. Bitterness, we know that it's 35 IBUs. The malty side of things for me, quite smooth and dry underneath. Little, a bit of a kind of biscuity, grainy sweetness on top of it. And the fruits, I would have said the fruits, like a blend of dry fruit and kind of oily sort of things, and a wee bit of citrusy zest. Yeah. Anything you'd want to add to that? No. All right. Okay. Cool. Well, guys, I think that is time for us to finish up with this one. So this was the Fasenöchtor, 9.2% Doppelbock Hell from Pax Bräu in Oberelsbach in the Rhön area. Here this is still that would still be Franconia, wouldn't it? So it Franconia, Franken, Bavaria, Bayern, Germany. So one of Daniel's favourite breweries. There you go. So thank you for joining for this one.
Yeah.
And always cool to have Daniel on the channel when we get the chance. Been having some nice, having some fun here in Bamberg with Daniel and Johanna and playing with their little kids, which has been great. So we're going to go and do a live stream and taste some of Daniel's favourite beers now, but you will see this video after that. But hope you enjoyed it. If you get the chance to check out some of the Pax Bräu beers, you will get something really unusual from these guys. I think this is a brewery. Do they have their own pub?
I don't think so. No, they just have the brewery.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that's somewhere that we would really need to go if it existed. But no doubt next time I come to Bamberg, we'll maybe do another one of these. The Pax Bräu beers are always really interesting to review. But no, thank you for joining. As I said, it's this man's fault that I do these beer videos.
I'm very sorry. 3,500.
3,500. But it all goes back to a night in the Moorings Bar in Aberdeen when Daniel found Schlenkerla. And there you go. That's how it all started. But cool. Let's leave it at that for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed Daniel's appearance. Johanna made her debut on the channel as well. Maybe we'll persuade her to join in at some point on another video as well. But make sure you check out Pax Bräu, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Slàinte, skål, cheers, and see you guys soon.